For some of those held at one of America's most remote prisons, the chances of seeing the inside of an American courtroom have dimmed. Friday's decision that 2 Yemenis and a Tunisian man can now challenge their detention is a victory for the Obama administration, which argues that U.S. courts have no jurisdiction over detainees held in a war zone. Human rights groups had hoped for a different outcome, especially after a 2008 ruling by the U.S. Supreme Court that detainees held at Guantanamo Bay in Cuba can challenge their imprisonment.
Well, we don't believe there's any significant difference between detainees held at Bagram and those held at Guantanamo. The detainees at Guantanamo have the right to a habeas corpus hearing, and in fact, in numerous cases, federal court judges have ordered detainees released.
This decision does not apply to U.S. citizens or Afghans held at Bagram, and the court says the government cannot use this decision to hide future detainees by bringing them to the prison, which already houses some 600 people. But in the case of the 3 already held, it argues that this base, unlike Guantanamo Bay, is in a war zone, and its temporary status means it cannot be considered sovereign U.S. territory. But the court making this ruling has had several of its decisions regarding detainees overturned by the Supreme Court, and lawyers say they will appeal. A case that was first argued by President George Bush's administration and then continued by President Barack Obama using the exact same arguments. The White House still hasn't responded to the case.
The council is working on a response to some of these points, and I'll get that as soon as I get out of here.
Critics say it sets a precedent for other overseas prisons to be operated with impunity.
We have heard allegations that there are other detention facilities throughout Afghanistan and at Bagram Air Base itself where detainees have reported very serious abuse. Without independent review by a federal judge, it's very difficult for anyone to ever find out the truth of these allegations.
The Supreme Court doesn't have to take up the case, and any decision could be at least a year away. Patty Culhane, Al Jazeera, Washington.